Welcome to the HeelanHub Weekly. Today we're going to be talking about Lego. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey, and welcome to another HeelanHub Weekly where I just talk to you about what conversations I've had or my team have had, just taking those interesting tidbits out and talking to you about them as well as if you were here in the same room. And this week I want to talk to you a bit about this Lego concept. And actually I've seen this, I thought I was the only one who thought this, but I've seen it online that other people talk about this concept of small business being like Lego, and that sometimes you have to break it down. Sometimes you're going to make, if you've ever made Lego, or Legos, if they call it that in America, I don't know, there's some weird term, but here in England, Lego. If you ever played Lego and played with it and built it, sometimes if you're making it from scratch, or you've got a rough blueprint, but you haven't really been following it, you might look at it and go, oh, do you know what, actually, that's a load of rubbish. You might not like the finish. You might have to adjust it slightly. You might have to look at it and think, actually, when I try and stand this up, it's now wobbling and falling over, so I'm actually going to destroy the whole lot and go back to basics. And actually small business startups particularly, very much like this. I mean, I would actually say there's very rarely do you ever finish the Lego project. You keep tweaking it and you might snap bits off and put new bits back on and rebuild certain bits. Sometimes the foundations fall a bit further down the line. It's sat on your desk for a while and then suddenly it's crumbled and you think, actually, it probably wasn't stable enough at the beginning, so let's rebuild that. And I think in growth businesses, you see that quite frequently as well. So I like that concept. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about that is I wanted to let you know that it's normal. In these 17 odd years of doing this, I've worked with just hundreds and hundreds of small businesses. And I would say that it's just so common. And it's learning that resilience as a business owner that actually it's okay. You know, it is okay. It's completely fine. It's normal. You're not going to get this stuff right first time. If there is a right answer, you could probably get today's right answer and think, I've done this, so I'm going to change this. And then you work out in 2 years' time, it wasn't right. And pricing is a big one of those. Pricing is a constant problem because there is no right price for anything. It's what's that balance of value versus perception of value and what people can spend and what your market value of everything else that's in that industry is like. It's a massive bucket of things. So getting it right is nearly impossible. So you could set it now and then in 16 months' time, just pull in a random figure out. It doesn't have to be 16 months, but just say 16 months' time. You might feel actually it's too low. It's very rarely do you think it's too high, but you probably find that you've moved on with your business, you've got a bit more confident, and it's okay. So that idea of just knowing that it's okay, that this can go wrong, is something called a concept I wanted to get across today and just say it's cool. If you're in that position now and you just, you want to cry because it's all gone wrong, and you just think, why am I bothering? Just think, take a breath and just think it's okay. It's completely normal. You can do it. You just need to spend that time planning, speaking to colleagues, speaking to people you know, and getting coaching, getting help from professionals, whatever the case might be, whatever path you take, you absolutely can do it, and just know that it's absolutely normal. And of course, the beautiful thing is, as a small business, you can just pivot and shoot around as you like. Don't get me wrong, sometimes there's a lot of admin and hassle with it as you're growing, but it's not like these massive corporates where you've got to spend ages trying to get things signed off or changed. You just wake up tomorrow and think, this is rubbish, I'm not doing this anymore. Don't do it. Go tweak, learn, move on, get over those losses or the things that didn't go very well, get over them quickly and just move on and you'll be absolutely fine. So that was the one thing. I've spoke to a lot of clients over the last couple of weeks. I've had a couple in a row where that's very much felt like the type of conversation a couple of my team were talking about it. And it's just weird. We had a collection of clients who were talking about these things, and in our job we see it all the time. We get really sad for them because we're like, we know you can do this. We know plenty of people that without your skills or without your knowledge, or we've dealt with other people in your industry that we know that you're really good, but it's them and their self-doubt. And so if this is you and that resonates with you, just know you absolutely can do it. As long as you've got the effort and the desire to do it, then you can seek out the help you need and get it done, I'm sure. So but just know that it is completely normal. Now, I did touch on pricing. That was the other thing that we talked about a lot this week. And we had it with a couple of struggling businesses, actually, where they're not going very well. And the answer is the model will not work. If you followed my content for any amount of time, I'm a big fan of this fag packet maths type idea, this short model. Does it roughly work? If we make some assumptions, and I always joke I can do this in about 10 minutes on most businesses with the right data, it's like, can you just tell me what's what? And we can say, yeah, okay, this is roughly going to work, or no, it's roughly not going to work. And on a couple of businesses we saw last week, pricing was a problem. If they carried on doing what they're doing, they couldn't influence the bottom. So I think this kind of logic of I'm just going to cut everything out, I'm just not going to spend any money, just doesn't work. You can't run a business like that. You need to concentrate on the top half of it. How productive are we? What are our costs to supplying this service? And what we're charging for it. That's where the majority of the magic is from our experience. And we were talking about pricing. And this particular business is going to go out of business if it carries on. There was two of them, and they both would absolutely go out of business if they carried on. But they were really reluctant to put the prices up. And that's quite normal. No one wants to put the prices up. Why would you? No one likes paying more. You know you don't. As an owner, I know I don't like paying more to anybody. I'd rather it stayed the same forever, but that's just not the world we live in. It can't carry on. And I think in most small businesses, that's really a very common thing. You just don't raise your prices regularly enough, and then suddenly you've got to. But if it's a case of you're going to go out of business anyway, you might as well just do it. So if you're in that zone where it's really not working and you're being told and you've done the maths and you're like, I need to change my prices, change them. What is the worst that can happen? And actually the amount of owners we've worked with over the years that have changed their prices, and presuming you're not doing anything completely insane, the problem is you wouldn't know what completely insane is most of the time. You probably think adding £2.50 might sound insane, but a lot of the time it isn't. And it's funny because we take some scenarios and we then bounce it around the office and say, how much are you paying for this at the minute? And someone will easily tell you it's £10, £20 more than what the client's charging. So there are these other prices in the market that exist already. It's very unlikely you're going to pick probably some crazy price that's not there. I could probably do a whole video talking about pricing, but again, it's more of a confidence piece for you right now. If you're struggling and you're thinking, look, this model isn't going to work, I'm going to have to do something or I'm going to go out of business, and that does mean raising your prices, then what have you got to lose? Give it a go. I think there are cleverer ways of doing it than just raising all your prices by 20-30%. You could look at the ones that are losing money first and things like this, and look at how you could repackage and add value. As I say, it's probably a whole nother video on this. But for now, if you can just take away that, don't be afraid of repricing. If you're in that zone and it's going that bad, what have you got to lose? So stay resilient, keep winning, and I'll see you in the next one.